Good morning, Raymond, Malik, and Eniwa.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, guys. Let's do that. That was really loud. Let's do the front pages.
Now, let's start with the new crusading guide and own a house in 11 days as government partners hungry to wipe housing deficit. There's another story about Amewu ignored ban on small-scale mining, sanctioned Shaheen to operate. One also is there on group hounds GMPC boss to resign. Now, Tema Manche calls for change in law of by-elections, and that's on the front page of the new crusading guide.
I have the Gold Street business. Non-bank financiers turning from bonds to deposits. Ghana earns 813.95 million from oil liftings, and Energy Ministry institutes cash waterfall mechanism to deal with legacy debt.
On the front page of the Ghanaian Observer, Mampugu overlord praises Akufo-Addo bullets fly at NDC meeting as presidential campaign turns boot for boot. Nalarigo gets the nod as Northeast Regional Capital. GNPC boss hot, and Solon government to build affordable housing project using polystyrene concrete technology.
Now, the Chronicle is reporting this morning NDC hawks open fire on party chair and chief accused of bunking mom and daughters. That's on the front page with one other one. Policeman, two of them shot and injured in line of duty. Also on the front page of the Chronicle.
The Daily Statesman newspaper, NDC and the poison of revolutions past. New regions take shape. Nalerigu, Damongo named capitals of Northeast and Savannah regions, and boot for boot hits Ashanti. NDC beats up regional chairman.
On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, GRA seizes goods without tax stamps at the Central Business District of Accra. And on the front page, that story about the two new regions also running. Jubilations anger greets announcement of regional capitals. Vice President opens third German African Business Summit in Accra. And court asked to reject EC's bid to extend ROPA.
Now, the Herald is reporting this morning on paid NAPCO recruits to protest again. And NDC bans Sam George from Ayawaso gun violence probe as commission cries for information. Yesterday, I spoke to him. He said that he may be presenting a petition to that particular commission, so he doesn't want to speak on air about it. But the Herald is suggesting that the NDC is banning him from
speaking to the commission.
Yes. That's on the front page of the Herald.
The front page of the Daily Graphic has very beautiful photos of the president presenting the CIs to the respective traditional leaders of the Northeast and the Savannah regions, those two regions newly created. Also on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, we disagree with EC, that's plaintiffs in ROPA. Anyone mentioned this 13 million euro wastewater treatment plant for Kumasi. Back page of the Daily Graphic, nomadic herdsmen attacked, 17 cattle killed at Homa. Hey, I can't mention this one. I need anyone's help.
Really?
Yeah. So in the eastern region, Homasu also. There's also on the back page of the Daily Graphic, 7 arrested in Accra over failure to acquire fire insurance.
And finally, from me, on the front page of the Daily Guide, 2 cops shot in Bolga. Fresh German funding for Ghana. NDC signed $46 million fertilizer deal after the elections, and NDC chairman chased with guns as a story of Said Umar, who's the Swami constituency chairman.
Now, the Finder has these stories on the front page too. Now, over 500 chieftaincy disputes pending, and Ghana welcome German investors. Dr. Baumia is saying so. And salt has been cut for 10,000 affordable housing units. That's on the front page of the Finder too. So those are the stories on the stands today.
Raymond, did you say we can own a house in 11 days?
Yes.
11 days?
Yes.
Talk to me.
Yes, that's according to a new agreement that the people of this republic is signing with the country Hungary. They have a very special technology. That special technology takes advantage of more flexible, durable, and there's another word they use for it, a longer lasting building material. This building material has been developed at a cheaper cost, so that it takes away the main elements of cost in our building, which is where we've been complaints that, our materials are way too expensive. It affects how landlords get to build their house and the cost at which, and they have to rent out this house at a very high rate. What this technology can do is that if you have your land ready, within 11 days, the building can be completed, going according to Ghana's expanded and renewed building code.
Oh.
Yes, and within that space of time too, government is also looking at the financing part. If the materials are cheaper, and if the cost of the land in this case is also cheaper because it's going to be government lands, government is going into an agreement with this grouping to make sure that they will do all of these low-cost houses across the country in many ways that people can access them at the cheapest rate ever. So the cost is important. How long it takes to build the houses is important, and also how wonderful, because they say to have the green nature too.
Yes.
Greenhouse.
So the nature of the houses is also important.
Brilliant. So
and that 1.8 million housing deficit could be breached eventually.
yes, we argue that even if we were to do 100,000 per month or per year, we are less likely to clear the backlog. And that's also because of population growth and all of the other things involved.
True.
We are going to have the numbers increasing, but we'll clear backlog and be able to meet this. But this is going to be at a really fast pace. Just that sometimes, when they announce the visionary elements, that is wonderful until implementation is dogged with so many other problems. Up to now, we are still trying to clear the 5,000 affordable units the John Kufuor government put together in the first place. SSNIC took over in the dying moments of the John Mahama administration. SSNIC took over. It's unclear what they are doing with it now, whether they'll be able to finish and sell these units. At least it tells us we have fresh ones, Saglemi and all the other places coming on board. And these are just drops in the ocean when you look at our bigger problem in the country.
True. That's true. I mean, what's 5,000 compared to 1.8 million?
Yeah.
But another challenge would have to be the local buy-in, so that yes, we want to solve these problems, or we want to have local participation so that the money stays in the economy. Today we are talking about illicit financial flows, which amounts to about $14.6 billion over 10 years. And all of these things can be avoided if in the first place we stay with local partners and local companies.
And Daniel, cost. I remember when Hackman Osuajiman was talking about those houses that were being built under the Kufuor government. He said each unit, a 2-bedroom, was going to cost $12,000 at the time. Today, can you talk about $12,000 for each of them? It's been 10 years we have not been able to complete them. But let's talk about
85,000. The last time we heard them, they said it was 85,000 for the lowest cost you can get for these affordable units.
When they were started at a cost of 12,000.
Yes,
and I mean, if you compare the price of the dot, I mean, look, guys, let's move on.
So let's go to the Jubilee House, where yesterday the president presented constitutional instruments to traditional authorities that were invited there for the creation of 2 new regions in the northern region, the northeast and the Savannah region. So constitutional instrument 116 was presented to the overlord of Mamprugu, Na Bohagu Mahami Abdullahi Sheriga, that sealed the creation of the northeast region, and the overlord of Gonjaland, Yagbonwura Tuntumba Borisa, Suleimana Jakpa, he received constitutional instrument 115 for the creation of the Savannah region. And of course, we know that the president also announced Nalerugu as the capital of the northeast, and of course Damangu as the capital of the Savannah region. And that announcement was not accepted by some members of the MPP in Salaga South, who burnt down the party office in protest against the selection of Damangu. Their argument is that Damangu voted for an NDC parliamentary candidate in the 2016 election, and that's Adamu Tawakilu, who is the MP for Damangu. They do not understand why Damangu was chosen as the capital when they voted for the MPP candidate, and yet Salaga was not selected as the regional capital. And of course, we had a deputy chief of staff, Abu Jinapo, who himself comes from this area, who argued quite sensibly that, look, you can't have every part of the region selected as regional capital, because you have Gupe, you have Bole, you have Salaga, you have Damangu, you have all of these towns which form part of this region. So the argument that a particular part should be selected doesn't really hold water, because if Salaga was selected and the Damango people say they will not accept it,
that
you will still have this kind of disagreement. But of course, the president also announced a 20 million Ghana cedi seed money for each of these regions. If you look at it, commendable but quite paltry. That's about $4 million. And I'm asking, $4 million, how much was given to Oyomi? More than $30 million. How much was given for the fumigation contract, which was cancelled? $74 million. So there are a lot more money waste that we can cut to build these new regions.
Of course. Anyone, a man has drowned over 20 pesos.
Yes, so a 33-year-old man drowned. What happened was it happened in Sawaba in Asokore Mampong in the Ashanti region, and this happened on Friday. What happened was that there was a young girl, she was holding a 20 peso coin, and it fell into a stream, and so she went and called this man called TJ to come and get the coin for her. So he jumps into the stream looking for the coin, can't find it, and manages to drown in the process. So he was searched for about 3 hours, and then the elders of the community were contacted to help find the body. They poured libation, and a few minutes later the body was retrieved for burial. He's Muslim, and so he has been buried, but really sad that he lost his life over 20 pesos, trying to find 20 pesos for a young girl.
Terrible there that he would die after a brave act like that. Now, Ecos Pio Gabra has sued the Electoral Commission, the Attorney General, and the IGP. Raymond. Sorry, Malik.
Yes, and this is one of the aspirants for the NDC flag bearership for the next election, which is 2020. And his argument essentially is that he's a potential flag bearer. He thinks that the Electoral Commission must be compelled, and the Attorney General must be compelled to come to Parliament with a bill to pass a law which would deal with what he called a passage of an act that deals with political vigilantism in the body politics before the 2020 election, because he doesn't want to be a presidential candidate that will go into an election which will be marred by violence. He also wants the Minister of State in charge of national security to be held directly liable and accountable for the violence that greeted the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. So those are some of the reliefs that he's seeking in court. It remains to be seen whether the request for an act is actually very necessary, because currently there are sufficient laws to deal with the kinds of violence that was witnessed in that election. Shooting is not permitted unless it is lawful. So if you shoot, there are currently laws that can deal with it, but he wants a separate act that will deal with political violence.
Okay, and there's also a commission of inquiry that's looking into
this. That's also ongoing. He says that the terms of reference for the commission of inquiry are quite narrow.
Okay. Raymond, we are going into the 500 chieftaincy disputes now.
Now, yes, the Ministry of Chieftaincy is worried about this increasing speed of disputes across the country. If you do recall, in 2014, the National Peace Council, together with a research institution, actually established quite a huge number, to almost 400 of them, that's chieftaincy disputes across the country, with the Broad of Region leading. I mean, this is number of cases, but somewhere, in the northern region, rather had more violent situations connected to chieftaincy than the numbers involved in this case. Now, there's also another twist to it that's important. How chieftaincy has been hampering development, especially when it becomes violent in this case, or becomes a subject for dispute. That is what is the main focus of the Ministry of Chieftaincy. What they are doing is to continue what was started under Dr. Seydu Danda, virtually rewriting all of the traditional areas and their succession plan. Since succession plan happens to be the main reason, number one reason, why these chieftaincy issues are actually happening across the country. So it's not a dispute over where to develop or where to do what. It's a dispute over who becomes the chief. That is the main reason why these disputes are just that many across the country. So the Chieftaincy Ministry says we will publish very soon all the various traditional areas in the country, the succession plan, so that even if we die or this generation is cleared, the next generation can still learn from that document. You know, some of these, they are just history transferred to people.
Yes.
Most of them are not coded.
Oral.
Yes. So that is what they want to put in proper, permanent electronic form to try and fix the problem.
It's also an opportunity to document our history, because if you're going to look at succession plans, it means we must go back and look at who has ruled at which time. So it's a great opportunity that we have to document our culture, and that could help posterity.
But finally, the ministry is also reporting that it's been able to resolve 32 out of the disputes in this case. Some of them heading towards the right direction. And I'm sure we can all agree that the prominent Dagbon situation is one of these.
Yes,
that looks like there's a permanent, sustainable resolution.
Good. Yes, very encouraging there. So 32 down, more than 400 to go.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone, we have Hungarians helping us build houses, but there's also German money in the system.
Yes, so at the moment there are about 80 German companies that are directly represented here. They're hoping to bring that up to about 200 to increase official development funding because they're interested in our economic development. And the thing is, we, the female population of Ghana, we do like Ghana German alliances. One of the most famous German Ghanaian alliances brought us Boris Kudjo, who is half Ghanaian, half German. So very excited about that. But there's been about 750 high-ranking representatives for the German and Sub-Saharan African conference, which has been held in Ghana for the first time. So apart from the fact that they're bringing in more investors and possibly some more money, another thing that's interesting to note at this conference was Vice President Dr. Bawumia was speaking, and he did say that by June this year, the government would discontinue using cash for its services and adopt electronic payments. He talked about the fact that this has been made possible through mobile money interoperability. And the reason why that's important is because hopefully it will reduce corruption, because now there will be an electronic trail when it comes to money that's coming out of the government and money that is being spent. So the Germans are planning to set up a regional office in Ghana, and they're calling that there'll be more transparency and asking that our democracy remains stable so that the over 1 million euros that they're planning to bring into the economy would not go to waste.
The only concern is that when 1 million euros comes into the system, how much flows out, and how well are we able to police these companies so that we get the due that we need from them? Because the topic for corruption was today is specifically this, that when a rich man, for instance, enters your home and gives you 50 Ghana cedis, and when he's leaving, he leaves with a package of 150 Ghana cedis. What have you gained?
You are worse off than you were.
Exactly. And that is the exact story with illicit financial flows, because we've had some $14.6 billion flow out of our countries into other countries which were coming in to invest, like this German company, over a period of about 10 years. In Africa, it's 50 billion. And this was found by the Kofi Annan Commission. So we need to really take a careful look at how we police them. To our tax laws and our policing systems and all the systems that we have, we should be very careful about that. Raymond, I'm coming to you now.
Yes, now let's talk about what the New Crusading Guide is reporting. A very damning report about the now Energy Minister, former Lands and Natural Resources Minister, John Peter Amewu. In fact, the report says that he ignored ban on small-scale mining and sanctioned a certain mining company, Shanji, to operate. Now, it attaches a letter which says that in spite of all of the small-scale mining ban and the talk about it and galamsey activities being under the ban, the Chinese wrote to the minister on the 18th of July 2017, weeks after the accident. I'm sure this accident, we all know what happened in what they call it, around July 2017, the Shanji mine blast. And you remember the one at Talensi. Yes, and we know about 7 people died and all of that. In fact, they wrote to John Peter Amewu for the mine to be reopened and some other activities to happen there. In a letter dated August 22, 2017, signed by Chief Director of the Ministry, Suleiman Mahama, for Minister J.P. Amewu, it acknowledged receipt of the Chinese request and proceeded to approve their request to carry out general maintenance and for Shanji to be reopened. And this is a concern of the New Crusading Guide, that this sounded like different strokes for different folks at the time that we were consistently demanding that we sanction the space, and their call is going forward. This should not happen because you dampen the spirit of the fight. Again, they are saying, when they ask the police about what really happened in this case, the police says, oh, well, they have seen the letter, they've been complaining to them about this practice, and they are investigating.
But this is a New Crusading Guide investigation.
Yes.
Does it carry Mr. John Peter Amewu response?
Okay, so they actually say that his office was not available for commentary. Okay,
so we await that response. Malik, before we finish off with the news review, let's go to the Roper case.
Yes, so you know that some 5 Ghanaians living abroad went to court seeking an order from the court directed at the Electoral Commission to implement the Representation of the People's Amendment Act, a law which would allow them living outside Ghana to vote. Now, the court gave its orders, ordered the Electoral Commission to present a constitutional instrument, to lay a constitutional instrument before Parliament that will lead to implementing the law. The EC didn't do that, and the EC is gone back to court asking for an extension of the period that the court gave it, and extension from January 2019 to January 2020. These 5 went to court and they say no, the Electoral Commission is acting contemptuously and therefore should not be allowed to continue to do this. They should enforce the law. They should abide by the orders of the court without any further delay, because the Electoral Commission's arguments that it was unable to abide by the orders because there was change in leadership, according to the 5 of them, is not a sustainable argument, and that the EC did other activities, and if it was so minded, it would have laid the CI as well.
Okay, so that's another place we'll be looking at with the implementation of ROPA. Now, the online news review comes off now. It's brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. It's the season of love, and at Goyle, our love reflects in our service, our quality, and our reliability. So let's keep the love for Goyle products alive. Continue to get the best in quality and value for money from Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP and trusted range of lubricants. To our customers, we say thank you for loving Goyle. We value our partnership with you. Love Goyle, love Ghana. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle Yenara Yedia. Go light and bank light with Zenith Bank. How? Via Zenith Internet Banking. Use Zenith Bank's upgraded internet banking service to effect instant transfers, view account statements, top up investments, request for checkbooks, block your card, pay bills, and so much more. Sign up for free and bank lights with Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, always in your best interest. MyJoyOnline.com says Salaga disturbance will be treated as crime. Minister condemns. That's the Northern Region Minister Salifu Said, who, by the way, has oversight responsibility over the Savannah region and the Northeast regions.
First minister I've known who has 3 ministries, 3 regions under his
3 regions. He was speaking on PM Express last night. Very important part of this country. Emil Short's commission invites key actors and begins sitting on Thursday. So, hey, the sittings begin on Valentine's Day. The Ayawaso West Wogon Commission sittings begin at 10 a.m. Watch this space. We will be, of course, bringing you all the latest with that. AdamOnline.com has a video of Nigerians attacking a Ghana immigration officer in Kaswa. How did that happen, and what is being done about that? Attention must be brought to that immediately. The BBC.com reports Nigeria stampede, deaths at Buhari rally in Port Harcourt. The Nigeria election is heating up literally.
It is.
Literally. Remember the last election, there were polling stations here in Ghana, and there were billboards for Mr. Buhari and Mr. Jonathan here in Ghana. So it's not something that we should necessarily ignore. It's just this Saturday, isn't it? 16th
yes, because
February.
This is also the biggest economy in the sub-region. I mean, talking about the West African zone, it's our biggest economy. It is where we hope to send goods, even though they banned almost 22 of our goods. It's a very important one. Nigeria is virtually sustaining ECOWAS anyway.
Yeah, I've heard a number of people talk about how if there's a food deficit in Nigeria and there's food here in Ghana, we can be exporting to there. And President Akufo-Addo's plan coming into the election and even after that was to try and build stronger ties with the ECOWAS brothers, our ECOWAS brothers and
sisters. Increase intra-ECOWAS
so that
trade.
we can have intra-ECOWAS trade. I mean, the trade, our trade deficit is terrible when it comes to that area. Well, anyway, it's time for the BBC News at 7, and it comes up after this. Stay with us.
We all wander through life, wondering how to get to the top.